Welcome to tonight's group call. I feel like that tonight's topic is a lot about um, struggles that women have with losing weight. They're like, oh, the weight's not coming off. So I really want to touch on there are a lot of different reasons why women plateau and they're not seeing weight loss. But we're going to talk on four main reasons tonight. We will dive in. So, four main reasons weight is not coming off. Number one is the need to adjust a food strategy. A need to adjust a food strategy. Okay. You might be eating healthy. You might be doing the things that you think, well, I feel like I'm doing the right thing. We feel that way a lot of times. So there needs to be some adjustment. You could put yourself more in a deficit. So eating less could be the thing that you need specifically. Another idea to try is maybe doing a 12-hour fast at night, cutting off the time that you're going to say, my last meal is going to be done by 7, and then making sure that you do not eat again until 7 the next day. That is another strategy on how to kind of kickstart that plateau. Maybe another strategy for you could be lowering starches. Maybe the starch intake is too high and we need to practice lowering starches. That means instead of having a starch with breakfast, lunch, and dinner, maybe only doing it one time or two times throughout the day. So, for example, you do a bagel and eggs and a fruit for breakfast, and maybe you do a sandwich for lunch, and then you have, let's say, potatoes or rice with dinner. Well, instead of having a starch with all those, maybe only do eggs and a fruit for breakfast, or maybe have a protein like salmon and broccoli for dinner, or salmon and a salad for dinner instead of having the starch for dinner. So just kind of making that small adjustment could make all the difference in kickstarting that plateau. Another one is eating more consistent. So sometimes I see people skipping breakfast and they will have lunch and dinner, and they will have more. So you feel like, well, I get my intake in, my protein is high because I'm having, a larger lunch and a larger dinner, and I'm skipping breakfast. Or if I are having a larger breakfast and a larger dinner and skipping lunch, just skipping a meal in general. And so the numbers look good because your protein's there, but maybe for you to help keep your blood sugar at a more balanced rate, maybe eating smaller meals and throughout the day. So breakfast, lunch, dinner, and possibly a snack somewhere as well. So that could be the thing that you need to help that kickstart that plateau as well. Or just balancing the macros a little bit better. So maybe your intake looks pretty well. I feel like I'm eating all my meals. I'm eating healthy, Summer. Okay. Well, what about the protein? Do you feel like that your protein is there? And a lot of times this could be a problem where the protein is hanging at around 50 or 60 grams and you are eating healthy, but your protein needs to go up. It needs to be more closer to the 80 or 90 grams a day. So that way you have a more balanced macro plate, and your body is able to function better, and you can start losing weight. Number two is progressing exercise. So I see this often where you go in and you do exercises, but then you're not changing your weights. You're not upping your weights. And so you're still using the same 8 pounds, 10 pounds that you've been doing for months and months now, and you have not progressed your weights. That's one way to do that. Another way is maybe you do a lot of walks, or you get on the elliptical and you do your cardio, and you're like, well, I feel like I'm doing um, cardio and I'm still not losing the weight. Well, but we have to progress that. We can't keep doing the same thing. The body needs change. So instead of doing walks, maybe taking it to a jog. Instead of doing the same thing you do on the elliptical, maybe doing some hit intervals on the elliptical. So doing a progressive change with the cardio. Another thing is adding another day of exercise. So maybe you exercise 3 days a week. Maybe adding a fourth day could be exactly what you need. Or maybe you're doing 3 days a week and you're doing 30 minutes at a time. Maybe just increasing that from 30 minutes to 45 minutes could be the thing you need. So number one was making a adjustment to the food strategy or progressing exercise. This is not where you have to do both so far. You can do one and see about the change. It doesn't need to be drastic changes when we have plateaus and when we see that we need to do something different to get the weight coming off. It really will only take a small adjustment usually to where you can start seeing change, because remember that we are living a healthy lifestyle. So we're not trying to um, do drastic changes. A diet, that's what it does. Diets do is drastic changes, and you create drastic changes, or drastic changes which create drastic results, which which is all good and dandy at the time, but ultimately we will not be able to keep those habits or the changes that we made to keep the results. So we need to make small changes with what we're doing to create a small outcome, to create a small result, which is fine because in the bigger picture, we're going to get a big result. Number three on the list of the four main reasons is lowering stress. Stress can be a huge indicator or a huge reason why you're not losing weight. And stress is going to be a broad reason, because if you're feeling stress and cortisol is present, this could be because life stressors, first of all. Not getting enough sleep could be another thing. When cortisol is present, it can disrupt your hormones, which causes weight gain or weight plateaus. Also, if you don't drink enough water, that creates stress in with your body. If you're not getting enough water, people are like, "Oh, I feel like I'm not losing weight." And I'm like, "Okay, well, how much water are you drinking?" And they'll say, I don't know, maybe 3 bottles a day." And I'm like, okay, well, your body could be under a lot of stress because it's dehydrated. So if we increase your water intake, it's going to help lower the cortisol, and it's going to allow your body to do what it needs to do. So when I say lowering stress, that means getting enough sleep, making sure that you're eating enough foods so that way you are not in a nutrient deficiency, which causes stress, and getting enough water if you don't, which causes stress. And whenever our body is stressed, we release cortisol and it disrupts digestion. And whenever it disrupts digestion, then we're dealing with a nutrient deficiency again, because the body's not worried about digesting your food. It's only worried about surviving because it feels stressed. And whenever we're stressed or we're disrupting digestion, we're going to deal with bloating. We could deal with constipation. We could deal with diarrhea, inflammation. So these are things that the body's having to deal with, red flags, if you want to call it that, that it's not worried about losing weight. It's not worried about using the fuel on your body, the fat on your body to use to survive. It's worried about saving, conserving everything on your body. So, in case of the emergency, because it's feeling stressed, cortisol is there. So, I know that that's a lot easier said than done. I realize that it's a lot easier said than done. But if you feel like that you have made a food adjustment and you have made a progressive in your exercise, then maybe stress is the next thing that we need to look at and tackle. The fourth thing on my list is medications. Medications can mess us up. I know that they're there for a good reason. It's there for urgent situations. Um, it should be an urgent situation or emergency situation. Medication shouldn't be the first go-to because they have side effects, and that medication is only for that specific thing. It's not worried about the overall picture of your body, of how you want to look, how you want to feel. It's not worried about that. It's worried about that specific thing. So, for example, research shows that medications for like allergies, acid reflux, birth control, depression, diabetes, high blood pressure, bipolar disorders, are many others, medications that are specifically created for that illness, disease, or symptom. The medication it's only going to focus on that specific symptom that it's dealing with. So it could hinder you trying to lose weight. So, for example, acid reflux medication, it helps lower the acid in your stomach, because when acid is in your stomach, it goes up through the esophagus, and that's what causes that acid reflux. But we need acid in our stomach to help break down our food so it can digest effectively and digest quickly. The body has the acid to help digest at a good amount of time, an adequate amount of time, do its job, and get it through your digestion and out where it needs to be as quickly as possible. But if we're taking an acid reflux medication that helps minimize the acid in our stomach, then it's not going to help break down your food effectively. And that means it's going to slow digestion, which means that if you had a dinner at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and you're taking an acid reflux medicine, it's going to slow that digestion. So your food might not even be digested by the time you go to bed at 9 or 10 o'clock, and you're still carrying that. So this is stuff that we need to think about. Taking a birth control medication, we're messing with our hormone balance. So in that case, we are, they say birth control has a side effect of weight gain. It's because it's trying to hormone birth control is what I'm talking about specifically, but it's trying to help create a different balance of your hormones so it can cause weight gain. So depression, high blood pressure. So a high blood pressure medication will help lower your heart rate. So high blood pressure medications a lot of times will lower your heart rate. So it's hard to get you into a fat burning zone with your heart rate if a medication is trying to counteract that. So we need to really make sure that the medications we're on, that we absolutely need them.